We finally got to see the grand finale of Alchemy of Souls, an ending that for many was very sad and disappointing and for others was fair and charming. Regardless of the ending, we can't deny that this series has left us surprised since it began. This last chapter 20 clarified many things for us, but other issues were presented that created a bit of doubt. The most important thing is that officially there will be a second season, and there we will be able to conclude many things, and of course know how to continue the story. But since this last chapter was so incredible, that's why today I'm going to talk about the end of Season 1 of Alchemy of Souls explained. But first remember to subscribe to this channel and activate the notification bell to be among the first to see our content. This last chapter presents many interesting things, and for that reason I will try to summarize and explain every detail. We know that everything seemed that the end of the series was going to be a happy ending since Sang-Wook had proposed to Mu-Deok, and they were going to go together to make their life. However, Jin-Moo found himself in trouble because the prince threatened him for the things he had done. When Jin-Moo knew that, he had to use a strategy to make the prince need him alive, and for that reason he tried to turn Sang-Wook against him. The problem was that at first he was convinced that Sang-Wook was not a problem because he had already lost his powers. However, Jin-Moo told the prince that Sang-Wook had the ice stone and he felt tricked. Jin-Moo in the process realizes that Mu-Deok is really Nak-Soo, and since she is a soul changer he thought of something to destroy her. He remembered what Chamin Choi once told him that she used with the soul shifters, and that is that before she had used a type of sorcery with bells that drove them crazy, which by the way was the same thing they used with Nak-Soo's dad. We must remember that Jin-Moo trained Nak-Soo to take revenge on the 4 families that supposedly had killed her parents, and of course he did it on purpose because he has always wanted to eliminate people who have power. Then we could see that he used sorcery and managed to get Mu-Deok to come to him and unleashed her powers and ability as an assassin. Jin-Moo told Nak-Soo that she should kill Jin-Woo-tak so that he won't talk about all the things Jin-Moo has done. Then he wanted to kill Sang-Wook because he knew he possessed the ice stone. One of the things that surprised us the most was to see the radical change of Mu-Deok, who is really Nak-Soo. Of course we know that she was being directed by a spell. Mu-Deok managed to kill Cho-yeon's dad, and then what I think was the most shocking part of the whole series happened. We saw Mu-Deok introduce the sword to Sang-Wook. He is shocked. However, one of the things we could notice is that everything that happened they already knew it could happen, and the memories were presented when they talked about it. But even though that scene was something that they knew could happen, that was in the past, and they had made another promise to each other when Mu-Deok saves Sang-Wook from the soul shifter, and they promise each other a love with commitment. So in this part the interesting thing was that Mu-Deok was able to become aware for a moment of what she did and went back to being her, the good girl. Also Sang-Wook realized that the person who had stabbed him was different, and that is why despite what she did he hugged her. It is understood that he knew that something was not right and that she was not doing that of her own free will. We could see how Mu-Deok's body was petrified, and then she went to the famous lake. It was very sad to see how she was drowning in the water, and well, we could think that it is really the end of Mu-Deok. However, we saw that 2 people pulled her out of the water, and that was something very unexpected. But we must remember that Cho-yeon told her mom that she wanted to kill Mu-Deok, and her mom told her no, to bring her back alive because she wanted to know something important. Of course, So-yi had told Ho-young that her daughter was alive. Then she found out that So-yi and her daughter knew each other, and when she was about to strangle Mu-Deok, she told her mother. So it's quite normal for her to think that Mu-Deok is her daughter. What we could think is that Cho-yeon was chasing Mu-Deok together with one of the Jin family maids, and when Cho-yeon saw that Mu-Deok fell into the water she sent for her to be pulled out. That could perfectly explain this scene. Now for this reason we could think that Mu-Deok could be alive for the next chapter because in the previews we could see Nak-Soo's image. So with these images, we can assume many things. First, that someone saved Naksu's body or ashes, and thus she was able to return to her original body. Second, Mu-Deok's body was not petrified and was saved, thus Buyon's soul could remain in her original body. If we think about it, someone hid Naksu's body or ashes, and it wasn't exactly Jin-Mu, because he wanted her to die. To make sense of it all, Ho-young most likely discovered that Mu-Deok's body was being petrified because Naksu's soul was there and managed to find Naksu's body, so that she could go back to her original body. But the only way this could be done is with the power of the ice stone. So it is very likely that Sang-Wook was the one who helped Ho-young to get Naksu out of Mu-Deok's body and back to her original body, and thus let only Mu-Deok inhabit her own body. Now many are wondering how Sang-Wook is resurrected when they were burning his body. That was a very shocking scene. We must remember that when he destroyed the wall that was made with the ice stone, he lost his energy. At that moment, he found himself in the sky together with the stars, and he thought he was dead. We can think that he was in a kind of special dimension that looks very much like the vision that Mu-Deok had. The vision that Mu-Deok had when she found Bayon kid and Buyon adult, but in this case, the dimension is related to the stars. At that moment, Sang-Wook finds the ice stone and realizes he can't use it, but he keeps it anyway. Then we saw that the sky was illuminated, fulfilling the prophecy of the beginning of the series, that a person will be born who will have the energy of the king's star. And although the person had already been born, it had not been revealed who he was, and this scene was the symbolism that revealed who had been born with the king's star. The curious thing is that we also saw at the end of the chapter as Sang-Wook stood up, and it is as if he did not recognize anyone, and was very angry or just another person. We could see in the previews how Sang-Wook was fighting and how he used his powers. So he was resurrected thanks to the ice stone, but he also had his energy back as before. Recall that this was what happened to Naksu in Mu-Deok's body, that once she had the control or power of the ice stone, her energy returned. But what makes us curious is that in the series, they have narrated that Sang-Wook's birth was like a mistake, and he should not have been born. Also, those who know who he is have been afraid of him using his energy. Jangan said, "I am simply trying to keep him safe. If his energy door remains closed and he lives as my son, he will live. However, if he chooses to discover his destiny, instead, he will not survive." So he was referring to his destiny as a king, because let us remember that he is the biological son of Jangan, but it is as if he is the son of the king in spiritual form or destiny. We add to this spiritual and physical heritage that he has the ice stone, another power that is considered the greatest. As Master Lee said, having power is a great responsibility. What we are not sure is if Sang-Wook will be able to endure or know how to use all the power he has, and if this will turn him into a different person, and because of this many feared that he will discover his destiny. Because of this, he can cause chaos in the world if he does not know how to use his power. Let us remember that when Mu-Deok was inside the ice stone, Naksu, adult Buyon said, "Overflowing power means you will not be able to control the amount you use. Wish for rain and you will get a flood. Wish for wind and you will get a typhoon. Try to endure it." So we are still left to find out for next season if Sang-Wook will be able to withstand that power. Also, an important detail is that we saw that Sang-Wook is apparently using Naksu's sword, so he might have a thirst for revenge for everything that happened to her. However, we saw a very different Naksu in the latest images, with a positive vibe and not vengeful as in the past. This may prove that Sang-Wook's love really changed her. What surprised you the most in this last chapter? Leave your comment here. If you liked this video, please like and share it with your friends.